Hey guys, this is John. Welcome back to Spectrum. Real quick, I just want to let you know we have a new episode of our podcast, Radical Empathy. It features an interview with Calvin, who is in this episode of Spectrum. We talk about what it was like to grow up in a polygamous family, and we also kind of just dive into the larger idea of mental caves and what it's like to leave those caves. I know you have some time on your hands in this kind of new coronavirus reality, so sit down, put in some earbuds, give it a listen. Very strange time in the world right now, but we appreciate you supporting our content. Stay safe out there. Thank you.
I thought the world outside was the evil place, and we were the ones that were the good ones.
A number of students are in my classroom are, in old language, a couple thousand years ago, disciples.
We thought we were joining a movement to make the world better.
When are you going to wake up with this precious opportunity?
How I come to view what happened to me is a viral mimetic infection.
What you call it, a cult. I don't even really know what a cult is, but I know I don't have one.
I grew up as a Mormon fundamentalist. I was in it for 30 years. I have one dad, 4 moms, and I'm one of 45 kids.
My parents and I had some difficulty. I was sent away to a Southern Baptist fundamentalist reform school. It was a very extreme environment.
I was born into the Tony and Susan Alamo Christian Foundation. After realizing that I was lied to my whole life, I needed to escape.
I was in a Gurdjieff group for a little over 15 years that I got into when I was 22.
Right out of college, when I was 22, I got involved in a meditation group. The guru turned out to be very negative and narcissistic, and I was there for 22 years.
I didn't know I was in a cult. 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh my goodness.
We didn't call it a cult. I certainly didn't join a cult.
No, not at all.
But I knew it was unorthodox, so I knew it wasn't mainstream.
Well, mine was called a reform school, so it was labeled something quite different, right?
Mine was labeled a foundation, a Christian foundation.
Yeah, and mine was an extension of artistic training or training. I just thought it was an outgrowth of that.
When you're in it, it's invisible. You don't know.
What's your life? I mean, you were born in it.
It's part of it, yeah. When you're born in it, and that's all you've done. I mean, I still don't use the strong language of a cult. I don't think it's productive for the people that are there because they get defensive. But yeah, certainly if you're in it and it's what you're doing in your day-to-day, I think they truly do believe that this is a better way. We truly are God's people, or we truly are doing something good in the world. And I think that's one of the reasons you can get in those mental thought traps. I think it's really easy to blanket say that someone is quote unquote brainwashed. The deepest win that could come from this is empathy, maybe for people in it, but also for the people outside of it too.
I entered the cult voluntarily. 3, 2, 1, go.
Wait, I'm wrong here. I'm sorry. I thought I was on the other side. Let me go over here.
Why are you moving?
Because I was forcibly put into the place that I was at.
Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should be here, I guess, because I walked in the door. I don't think anyone joins a cult, really, on purpose.
Right. That is so true.
So I think, yes, I volunteered, but it wasn't what I thought it was. And so what I got into, I think, with a lot of people, it's like they don't tell you everything. You don't know what you're doing yet. And so, yeah, you willingly start something, but you don't call it a cult.
I lived in New York City, but I was in LA for only 6 months, but you could not walk down the street without a Hare Krishna, without a Mooney, without a Scientologist, and I was really curious, so I went to all of them. So this one seemed more intellectually rigorous. It seemed connected to the studying I was doing. And then when I was 19, so it was about 2 or 3 years before, I took acid. So that's why I was so curious, and I was so confident that I could question popular culture. But I was really young and from Michigan, so what do I know about these?
So from my experience, I would say my parents had absolutely no idea the experience I was going to experience. And they voluntarily placed me there. However, I didn't know. I was surprised as we drove up in the 8-foot fence with, it was electrified, barbed wire, And so it was extreme for me.
How old were you?
I was 17 years old. It was the day after my 17th birthday.
Because of bad conduct, is it?
There's a lot of dysfunction in my house, and I acted out because of it. I had been molested by an outside source, and so I was just trying to negotiate childhood, and my parents really didn't know what to do with me. My parents had no idea the abuses that took place. So when I got out of there, I was afraid of the world. I was afraid of people. I started my nonprofit to help adults who were subject to this type of abuse as children.
I have fond memories from my time in the group. 3, 2, 1, go.
I had about 300 siblings that were anywhere from, 10 years younger than me to 10 years older than me. We knew each other inside and out. I grew up in Arkansas on a 300-acre compound with horses, ponies, cows, peach orchards. It was awesome. It was a good time.
When you have 44 brothers and sisters, and you're all living in the same house, it's the best of times. You have your brothers and your best friends that are brothers and sisters. And having 4 moms, I think, from my experience, I'll speak for me, I know I can't speak for other people here, it was 96% freaking awesome. It's really easy to just poo-poo on it and say every single experience I ever had was absolutely horrible. And I think it's a point to own.
That's actually the hardest thing to separate.
Yeah, totally.
Is like, you don't want to throw the baby out. It's your life, right? You don't want to say my life was a waste, So how do you pick out the gold?
Yes.
So I have a different experience, obviously. I was locked in the environment. I was not able to go. And so I had no choice in the matter, and it was horribly abusive. I was locked in a closet. I was demeaned, belittled. There was sleep deprivation, food deprivation. When I came out of there, I was so broken. And when kids get taken to these places that are extreme environments, this is what happens.
I was also locked in on a compound, but we were surrounded by forest. There wasn't anywhere to go.
Well, yeah, most of these places are isolated out in the middle of nowhere. Yes.
And we also had a system where everyone reported on each other. We'd also lived in constant fear of being ratted on, but the Bible was what was used as the gauge to tell you. And beatings, forced fastings.
Sexual abuse?
Yeah, sexual abuse.
So then how could you, so in your mind rationalizing the good times that you had to the extreme times, I don't understand how.
I know, because those times were so bad, but they were not, it was what I was used to.
It's what kept you there.
And
it's all I knew.
So
and
you became acclimated to the environment, not that it was good.
I thought the world outside was the evil place, and we were the ones that were the good ones. I'm here to not only tell my story as much as I can, but also let the world know that the trauma that cults can inflict on their members, that there's a life afterwards.
My leader had good intentions. 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, man.
I'm just not sure.
Yeah, I'll give it to him.
Yeah.
I think it started out as good, but not
So
when
you
I was
somewhat
there.
agree.
Yeah, it's somewhat. That's why we're here. That's why we're
Yeah,
here.
just a little bit agree, yeah. Okay.
I gotta move. So I'm moving because when we were in the group, we thought the intentions were good, but when I got out, I learned that they had criminal records and that they had motives that had nothing to do with what they claimed they were.
Well, I'll be over there.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably
Come
move
on
even
over
over.
here,
I'm gonna
Benjamin.
disagree. Not quite.
All the way over.
Not quite, because there's a human element in that all humans err. And so I got to give it to them that they probably wanted to improve their personal lives, and I don't see being selfish as bad, as long as it's not stepping over and hurting other people to get to those desired ends.
I think I'm going to move over here The troubled teen industry is an industry that has secular programs, wilderness boot camps, boarding schools, rehabilitation centers. The idea is you send your kid to this place to get fixed. It's $1 million industry in Utah alone. And so I don't think when people start these things, it's about the child. I think it's about the money.
I think it's important to clarify, if anybody searches Mormon fundamentalism, that why I'm not on the exact opposite end is that there are different sects of Mormon fundamentalism. Like if I was part of Warren Jeff's group, that infamous, he's in jail for life, like I would be clear over there. The people that I know, I think they actually believed it. And so my thing is, I think they were sincere, but the ultimate conclusion I came to is just because you're sincere doesn't mean you can't be sincerely wrong.
When I left, my mind was more with all those people who they got an elevated social status. They would travel around the world. They were treated like royalty. And so if they ever left the group or questioned, they would lose this like privileged life they were having. So it wasn't just the leader, it's almost like he exported his own selfishness.
That is such a good point. In my case, I was born into the group, and I was raised by my cult leaders and used as an example of how to be. And whenever a child did something wrong, it was compared to me. Would Benji have done this? And the child would usually say no. Okay, well then give him 40 swats. When someone tries to use a child as leverage against other people and to manipulate a child to do their bidding, it shows their true intentions. It shows that they are not well-intentioned.
Come on
They're
over
evil.
here. Come
Yeah,
on
I
over
know, I kinda
here.
have to jump over
All
there
right.
like that.
When you're young and something seems like a good idea or mindfulness, you want to throw your whole shoulder into it. And then you don't realize that there are a lot of other, maybe older people, a little bit older than you, that will completely hijack your essence.
I did things that I regret. 3, 2, 1, go.
Everyone's going over here. Oh my God. Oh. I was manipulated as a child, so I kind of want to step back maybe to like somewhat agree. I'm like in between here and there, but in reality, I feel bad, but I wasn't a consenting adult. The impact.
I wasn't an adult, and I was made to do these things.
Yeah.
And they haunt me to this
Thank
day.
you.
Because I was leveling up in the system, right? I had been broken, and so I bought what they were selling, and so I became what they called a helper. It was a tragic experience where these people tried to commit suicide right in front of me. And I had to kind of save them, and there was no medical attention. I was programmed to do these things, right? They conditioned me to have these responses, but I still regret them.
You still regret it?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of how I
strongly.
feel a little bit, because the things that I usually don't like the word regret, because I don't think it's productive to be so stuck in the past. But the things, the negative feelings that came up in me, what made me come over here to agree is there were things that I was complicit to, that I witnessed, that I thought was the right thing, but there was something inside of me in those moments that I was like, fuck, this should not be right. Like, there's the piece of me now that's like, man, why didn't you stand up and say something or do something? But when you're in it, when you're there, you don't see it. And I think that's part of almost the healing process, that you have to have empathy for that version of yourself to be like, hey, you didn't know any better.
The things I regret, when I look back on it, and I've asked myself this question before, is one, I didn't get out sooner. Another thing was not warning other people of what happened to me. I didn't tell some of my brothers what had happened to me, sexual abuse with this teacher. There were moments when I was like, I recognized that his role trumped all my friends, my family, everyone. Like, I kept a promise with him, and I wouldn't tell anybody, right? So I really regret that I gave him so much power. The general misconception, I think, is that people don't believe it could happen to them, or they don't understand how it happened. And people don't see how the cult paradigm is everywhere. There's small cults just in your office.
I'm on good terms with the leader of my group. 3, 2, 1, go.
At At that time, anyone who was gay, male or female, was not allowed to be in the group. So for about 10 years, this guy was able to keep the straight men quiet, in other words, our husbands, and he would quietly.
Are you able to phrase that in a way? We might not be able to put it in there.
Giving our husbands blowjobs.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pretty that up. And then women and those of us that didn't know were kind of thrown for a loop when one of the young men to whom he'd been doing this went to the San Francisco Chronicle and made a lawsuit, and there were headlines. So here you are going along,
So
and all of a sudden there's a
what
headline in the San
what are your
Francisco.
feelings about this man? Do you care for him?
I'm on neutral terms with him. I'm not on bad terms. I'm not.
Well, if I saw him on the street, he wouldn't be angry with me. I think I am angry with him.
Yeah, which makes you not on bad
But
terms.
wasn't that the question?
No, I think both of those are correct.
And
I've
I
been
just
in a
want to say
documentary,
this today, right now, is the first time I've ever spoken out publicly about it.
Good for you.
The cult leader in my group was marrying 8-year-old girls. What? And using the Bible to justify saying Mary, the mother of Jesus, was a teenager, and that's justification for him to then give an 8-year-old estrogen to induce their period so that they would be justified as a woman. I am not on good terms with them, and their group still goes on.
The reason I'm not on the best terms with the leaders in my church is I did so very publicly. There was one time in particularly where one of the church leaders kind of reprimanded me on one of my Facebook posts saying that I sounded judgmental. In my head, I remember thinking, I haven't even been in this, and you think you can tell me what to do? And I was like, this guy can go fuck himself. And then I felt all of this fear come up because you're taught your entire life that these people are God's people, they're God's prophets. So you don't say anything. And I felt so much fear, and I was like, holy, this is so weird. And so I commented back and said, thanks for the comment, but you can go fuck yourself. With love, Calvin Wayne.
I'm a better person because of what I experienced. 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, God, my most honest answers is here. In terms of worldly experience, I had a tremendous worldly experience that I don't think I would have gotten, so
I just grew so much. I mean, I used to think I was growing in 1 week, I would grow a year. But I also learned things I never would have done myself. Like, I learned how to dance, I learned how to do massage, I learned how to, all these different amazing things. For me, it was good.
In spite of the experience, I have grown, and I'm able to help people and mentor them and raise awareness about this abuse because I went through it. But I wouldn't say I was a better person because of it, but in spite of it.
Cults are everywhere. 3, 2, 1, go.
There are little pieces of cults in all things that we don't see. One of my favorite guilty pleasures is honestly going to YouTube and watching flat earth videos. It's so obvious and you can see the mental traps. But here's the thing, we all have so many of those mental traps. The same people that are pointing and saying, oh, I can't believe those people believe that or do that thing. They do it in some other way where we just believe something because it's all we've ever believed.
The reason I'm not strongly agree is because you can see right here there are different kinds of cult experiences, right? Like you guys had some really, really extremely hard ones. You were born into it. You had dark experiences. We had these other kind of spiritual dark and light experiences. My generalization is cults are dark.
How do you define the word cult?
That's right. How do you define it? So that's why I'm here, because I think there's a lot of things that just aren't cults.
Well, I think, and the question was, are they all around us? And I think absolutely they are. I mean, cults is a very strong word, and when I talk about my experience, I say cult-like, because some people wouldn't define our experience, my experience, as that.
I went into a Tai Chi place just on the street in Seattle. These guys started using cult technique manipulation practices to recruit me. It wasn't until I went to Wikipedia and looked them up
Right, so
that
you
I
had
knew.
the education. You
But
were able to bring
I
awareness
still
to
gave them
yourself.
$1,000.
But you were able to
I didn't know,
raise-
but it was close.
But,
Right,
but that's
but-
a good point. I think
was
it's a great
close.
point. In the 80s and 90s, we didn't have the internet. We
Yeah,
couldn't
we
type.
didn't- we
Now
don't
I
have
say,
the ability,
you're just
right?
lazy. You're just lazy.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
But
Sometimes you
I
want to
feel lazy.
believe.
I
You
wanna-
want to
I'm
have
trying to get
faith,
at, what I'm
right?
trying- even in the boardrooms of the corporations that make our airplanes and make our coffee, there is a cult leader at the top. I don't care what anyone says.
We're
It is
still
a
a pyramid society.
And that's why I'm over here, because they're everywhere. Some of them are dangerous and some of them aren't.
That's a wrap.
You get a photo of that?
Yeah, we should.